Shalom. You know, the Jewish people are called by the Torah the chosen people. And this is, I think, the source of a lot of consternation amongst some people. Some Jewish people, maybe they spend their whole lives running away from that. Some don't understand really what it means. And certainly the whole world really doesn't understand what does it mean. What is it? What is the Torah telling us? What does Hashem mean that we are the chosen people? Chosen for what? So here we have a verse in Parshat Yitro, in the book of Exodus, in chapter 19, right before the Sinai revelation, before the Jewish people were given the Torah. We are told, "And now, if you will hearken well to me and observe my covenant, you shall be to me the most beloved treasure of all peoples, for mine is the entire world. You shall be to me a kingdom of ministers and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the children of Israel." So what is this really all about? You know, a number of months ago, there was an item in the news that there was a gathering of Catholic bishops, a synod of bishops, and they came out with a declaration that the Jews are no longer the chosen people. They've been replaced, and there's no such thing anymore as a chosen person, as a chosen nation. And I thought that that was very ironic and somewhat ridiculous, because the way that a lot of people view this whole idea of the chosen people is kind of like the frequent flyer club of an airline. You know, you go to the airport and you see like the Platinum Club or the Admirals Club. And these guys have a special pass key and they go in there. What are they doing in there? Those are the club people. They have like martinis, you know. And that's how people are treating this idea, as if it's like some sort of tremendous privilege, like the frequent flyer club. And I say, you know where that sign really is? The Admirals Club or the Platinum Club? It's over the gates to Auschwitz. So if you want to come, b'vakasha, if you want to come with us, what it really is all about, to be the chosen people, it's not about that we're the best pediatricians or Wall Street brokers or film producers in the world. We happen to be that, but that's just a coincidence, maybe. What it really means that God chose the Jewish people is that he chose Israel to be the vessel through which he manifests his existence and his will throughout the whole saga of human history. As Isaiah says, God says, we are his witnesses. You are my witnesses, right? And the verse the prophet tells us, that I was referring to Auschwitz, you know, God says, only you have I known from all the families of the earth, and therefore I will visit your iniquities upon you. What does it really mean to be the chosen people? It's not about the frequent flyer club. It's about taking responsibility for the entire world. And that's the bottom line. And that's what it really means when God says that we are chosen. And I'll tell you one of the most beautiful places where you see this. It's just an amazing idea. Because, you know, look at the whole arc of creation. The whole process of history from the very beginning with Adam Harishon, the first man. And you come from Adam until Noah, and you had a mere 10 generations. And this is a tremendous question that the great philosophers talk about, and the Rambam discusses this. You know, how is it that in a mere 10 generations, man, who was the personal creation of the Almighty, how is it that that was forgotten? And how is it that man became so totally haphazard in his thinking and so totally confused as to become idolatrous to the point that God was actually, if we can use such a word, well, the Torah uses it, so we'll say it, disappointed with his creation? How did man forget that tremendous legacy? And the great luminaries discuss how this happened exactly. But in any event, it did happen. 10 generations from Adam to Noah. Absolutely not a successful venture, God decided. And then he started all over again with Noah. And then from 10 generations from Noah to the time of the dispersal, the time of the tower, again, there was a type of desperation on the behalf of the Creator. There was this disappointment. At that time already, it wasn't so much about denial like it was at the time of the flood, but it was about rebellion, you know, climbing up in the tower and saying, we're going to take over. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Abraham is introduced on the scene. And this is really a very unusual thing. You know, after the flood and after the generation of the tower, literally from nowhere, in the end of Parshat Noach, I'm talking about the end of chapter 11 in the book of Genesis, all of a sudden Avram, who later becomes Avraham, is introduced onto the scene. We have his genealogy, and then he explodes onto the scene in the beginning of Lech Lecha, chapter 12, where God is revealing himself to this person, Avram, later to become Avraham, the father of the Jewish people, and he is the first person that God has really had this type of relationship with. Why? What is the message of the emergence of Avram on the stage of history where he did? The answer is so pithy and so perfect and so sobering and overwhelming, because this is one of the greatest insights into what the Jewish people are supposed to be doing in this world. God, as we said, was really disappointed with the first 10 generations and the second 10 generations, and basically was saying, as we read in the text, as he essentially tells us from the pages of the Torah, you know, I can't have this anymore. I can't have this disappointment. I need to know that someone is going to guarantee me that humanity will stay together and will be focused and will know who I am. I need to know that there's going to be a guarantor. I need to know that someone will take responsibility for the world. And that's exactly who Avraham is. And that's exactly why, just at this point in history, he comes along the scene, because he is the person who is looking to bring the presence of God into the world. And this is really the whole idea of what the Jewish people are supposed to be doing in this world. I'm not saying that we always do it that successfully. I'm not saying that we're doing such a great job all the time. But if we grow up, that's exactly what it is that we're doing in this world. And the fact is that we have done it, that we are bringing the presence of God into the world. But that's what it means to be this kingdom of priests and this holy nation. It means to take humanity and say, there's a God in the world. There's a purpose for creation. This is the whole revelation of the Holy Temple, where the Kohanim, the priests, are the instruments to bring the influx of divine blessing into the world for all of humanity. And just as the Kohanim, the descendants of Aaron, are called the priests in the Holy Temple, so too, in the verse that we read in Exodus, the Jewish people altogether are called the priests for the whole world, because they provide the same function. The priests in the Holy Temple are bringing the presence of God into the temple. The Jewish people in the world are doing the same thing on a more basic scale. So this is not an idea that can be taken lightly, and it's not about the prowess or the business acumen or the smarts of the Jewish people, and it's also really not something to be jealous of. It's about this tremendous bond that God had with the forefathers and that he bequeathed to their children. It's about being willing and being ready to have the commitment and the integrity to do everything necessary in this world, like Avraham did, going through this world with all of its foibles and all of its difficulties, and announcing the reality of the one true living God. This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and this is what brings about a state of enlightenment and revelation and acknowledgement and blessing for the whole world. And that's why the function of the Jewish people as Kohanim, as priests in the world, was chosen by God through his covenant with the forefathers in order to make sure that someone would always be here to take full responsibility, to express accountability for the entire family of man.